So this came onto my feed recently to where like this it's very funny because just the other day I was talking about the concern of the Gen AI creator position at Neowiz, and before this post, this came up on my thing to where so basically we're not using AI to develop the game, except we are. Concept art is a part of the direct development of a game, and we can't keep letting these companies use as a loophole. Going, look, AI wasn't used in the final product, as if that makes it okay. But before I give my opinions, I want to like figure this out too. So attention from the map, according to from the map puppet. Okay, follow them if you will. Let's see. We have been heard. Eurogamer has updated this recent article in which they put a statement from Neowiz in the current allegations of a job posting for an AI artist. And I think in my there's a full article too. It's a full article. Because in my personal opinion, it's really interesting to where like let's look at these things. Let's look at the sneak peek first. Update. Developer Neowiz and Round 8 have contacted Eurogamer to clarify the job listing for an AI creator spotted on Neowiz website isn't directly related to the development of their Lies of P sequel. Instead, the role based within an independent arts R&D team at Round 8 will focus on creating AI-generated visuals to be used strictly as eternal references during pre-production. The companies stress that they hold full legal rights to the assets used in training. Statement in full. Let's see. The job posting in question is not a role that will be directly involved in the production of the LSP sequel. Instead, they will reside within an independent arts R&D team at Round 8. Gen AI tools are only used as a preliminary stage work to improve efficiency of repetitive foundational tasks. AI-generated visuals functions strictly as internal reference material during pre-production, a method for establishing visual direction before formal production begins. The intent is to build a proprietary visual library trained exclusively on the assets for which Neowiz and Round 8 holds full legal rights. All final assets for the upcoming game will be created by experienced artists. Now, honestly, it's hard to think about because, like, in my personal opinion, I don't know. I'm still, as a consumer, I'm still at a place where I don't know if I feel like I am completely one side of the argument or the other, to where yes, full, complete and utter real utilization of AI is a bad thing. Like if I'm getting something that's AI generated and no one does a quality control of it, then yes, I'm gonna hate it. But at the same time, like if it's used to help, like what's the word, to brainstorm, and then from that brainstorm you sift that down, and then you sift that down again and again, and what is this? That it should be okay in my opinion, because like there's a situation where at some point, if you had 100 people from that same team, if you it's weird, right? Art is a problem to just navigate in general, right? Because I think to myself, like, the worst case scenario is that nobody actually does input into the game, and we get a game that's dispensed without quality control and goes to market, and it turns out it becomes Concord 3, or High Guard. That's the worst case scenario. They would release it, it becomes High Guard, it becomes Concord, and then Round 8 and Neowiz shuts down. That's the worst case scenario. But the best case scenario that we get is that this tool is used to generate concepts that the core team, if not the core company, doesn't think about, right? Because it's the random. Because if you hire 100 new employees to Neowiz or to Round 8 and have them work on the game, 100 new people. If you hire 100 and you input 100 and they know how to make games, they know how to develop X, Y, and Z. At best case scenario, you have new perspectives, right? But the point I'm getting at is that it's an idea to where it'll be used to net and reel in ideas that the core team has not thought of yet, because for all intents and purposes, it's like there's I feel like there's a bit of concern when it comes to like, hey, we're ban this team 100 out of 100. We dropped Lives of P. It's a banger, and then we go to the next game, and the worst thing that they can do is repeat the same mistakes and repeat the same concepts of the first game. The worst case scenario is them not expanding on the game that they previously made, right? So, the article's right here. Eurogamer.net, whatever. But I won't click on it, I don't think. But what I want to get is that there is a fine line to ride the lightning and figure out, is Gen AI something that we can use, and how much of it is appropriate? Because it's a similar perspective to where everybody knows that a good quality hamburger is a good quality hamburger, right? It's when it's done correctly and you eat a hamburger, you're having a good time, and you wouldn't want to have another burger, right? But then if you get lazy and you end up doing the worst case scenario and get McDonald's. McDonald's is the equivalent of fast food slop. Is the equivalent of AI slop, right? Where the worst case scenario, you'll get this like a highly processed product, and you may be crucified, but it doesn't change the consumer to consumer experience, to where people what is the thing that was I'm thinking of the Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 people prefer quantity. What did you What was the monologue? There is a quote that I'm looking for that's incredibly important to this. It's incredibly important to this. Let me see. Fucking hell. Not Jack, Winston, Owen. But the TLDR is like there's a conversation where people would prefer. It's I don't know the analogy I'm looking at, but essentially people. It's a matter of taste. The customer is always what right in a matter of taste, to where some people are completely 100% on the right side, saying, "Oh, it got touched by AI. I do not want anything a part of it. I will crucify it, and I will make campaigns to virtue signal the um, disgust of it." And for whatever reason, the first thing I can think of to that analogy is the idea that, oh, people try to cancel Clair Obscur because there was an asset that they didn't take out by accident for a generative AI picture, for a generative AI art of a news clipping that you will only be in frame for in just a minute, and you wouldn't have seen that. That's the funniest thing about of Clair Obscur. You would not have seen that instance of Gen AI that was in the game if you weren't looking for it. If you focus on playing the game and the gameplay and the story of it, Clair Obscur is a beautiful game, right? But one minor mistake of not fixing a generative AI like thing, and people try to cancel it, try to kill it. And that is the scummiest thing about like these internet dramas, to where they would virtual signal a thing and then they don't show up for it consistently. Just like how Wtphu 48 was virtual signaled as like, hey, women empowerment, a gay character that like is fighting for her bae, right? And you find out that it wasn't received very well. And it's funny to where it was trying to combat against another game called like Knight's Tale or something, and that was more accepted, and the people who virtual signaled Wtphu never showed up. People who virtual signaled for Concord died. People who virtual signaled for Highguard, that died. It's crazy. But anyways, let's look at the. I'm gonna quickly browse through. You know what? Why not? Let me just. Let's quickly do that. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Publisher confirmed the second game has reached the second game has reached to full scale dev phase, but at the time of writing, the report has it limited to the vertical slice step, demonstrating portions of a game that meant to be represented what a full game would be like. Usually used to convince executives about a game's overall directive. Interested in expanding the IP and turning it into an enduring franchise. Let me see. Details are being kept secret. Because like that's the thing about like this whole controversy of Lies of P. It's a conversation of like, it's the assets versus it's the AI is not being used as a vehicle to what is it? It's not being used to write the story. It's not. It's being used for visuals alone. There may be a chance the AI is being used for like the mundane things that we like don't care for, like the leaves or the way the water shimmers and things like that. And I will probably read it at my own time. But let me see. Hold on. The narrative RPG dubbed Project Rubicon, has entered the vertical slice phase along with the Lies of P sequel. That's the thing. Concept drafts, so just art alone, with tools like Stable Diffusion and Midjourney, and integrate AI software into existing art workflow to reduce production time and build an efficient AI art pipeline. I mean, the worst case scenario is the best case scenario is somebody training an AI model that knows what the company is doing, knows the company's like art direction and like general trends, and then build up on that, right? That's the best thing that we can hope for. But I don't think Twitter agrees with it. Concept art is part of the directive development. So, but then again, like, it is a part of it, but it's not all of it. I think we don't know what makes it. I personally don't think we know what makes it okay until we actually see it, right? To where I need to see, like, it's a situation where I can't properly cancel it in a way until I see the trailer, until I look for things to dislike about it. That's the worst issue about like cancel culture. They look for things to dislike and then they magnify it without getting the core context, right? Because there's always like the funny situation where you do this thing, you do one thing, and then you make this mistake your identity, but there's so much more to the context of the subject matter than just, oh, they're looking for AI creators, they need to be canceled right away. There was somebody in my comments in the last video, let me look that up because it's great. It's like I can see where they're coming from, but I need to go like deep into it, to where they said round 8 of all people does not need an AI creator. They already proven that they can make a great game without AI. They need to be massively backlashed. And I think to myself, when Tony Stark came down on Peter Parker about the whole thing with his superheroism and suit, and he said to him, if you're nothing without the AI, then you don't deserve it. And then in this case, it's a funny situation where I believe in as the devil's advocate, is that because they proved that they can make a game that people like, and then they made fixes to that game during the first 3 years of the game, including the DLC. Like, for example, the difficulty slider was a quality of life that widened the funnel for people to get into the game. That is really good. So based on this entire experience with this whole like freaking thing, it's the idea that, like, I mean, if worst case scenario they remove the AI creator, but they still have the experience of making a game. So you are completely right to where they can they made a great game without AI, but what happens if we have something that would improve the quality of workflow, right? And you strictly, like, you put up enough guardrails. You could never put up enough guardrails to satisfy the masses, but based on the leadership, if you put up enough guardrails that satisfies the developers, satisfies the staff and the core staff, then let's see what happens. Because again, if you're nothing without it, then you don't deserve it. If you're if you feel like you're nothing without it, then you don't deserve it, right? But they already proved that they are a good developer, so let's see what happens if used this bot. Let's see. Yeah, response. You don't trust them? Wait, what? Is this a joke? I hope that I don't trust them, especially after I found out about those paintings that are still in Wtphu. Wait, what? What? Wait. Do you know if the wait, what? Lies of P painting. I don't know if this is a joke or not. Painting. Controversy. Is there a controversy about the painting? Allegedly, developer used AI-generated art for the background paintings and assets in the base game without disclosing the players. That is a nothing burger. Fans originally speculated that the environmental paintings in the game were AI due to the characteristic artifacting, which sparked a broader detail about what is this about. The discovery ignited backlash within the game community. Fan concerns. That is the same kind of like nothing burger that people use to try and cancel Claire Obscure. That's crazy. Honestly, I don't know where like all these virtual signatures are coming from to where like it's like if you don't trust them and if you don't plan on playing the game, that is completely, again, your choice. I will still play the game because at the bare minimum, this game has a good story. This game was compelling for me to like sink hours into it and like play it despite the amount of times I've died, despite the troubles and tribulations. The story made sense. And I liked every part of it. I liked the experience, and it's interesting to where you're telling me that. Are you telling me that these the set dressings of portraits in this game that doesn't affect how you parry, how you consume the story? That's a nothing burger. The most important aspect of concept art is gathering information, references, and letting creativity flow through creating your own iterations by hand. The most important aspect of concept art is gathering information and references and letting your creativity flow through creating your own. I can tell a lot of times when someone uses Gen AI in their process. Again, like it's on top of that, the time it takes to correct the shitty references AI outputs could have been used towards actually doing it yourself from scratch, and it also would have turned out better. There are things to agree with here where it is true. If you find out in the, like throughout the process that there's a part of it that you need to fix, where you could have like done the homework beforehand to avoid it, sure, that is incredibly true. There's two paths to where the time it takes to correct the bad references AI makes is one thing, but also we don't know what bad for Neowiz look like, because like what does bad AI for Route 8 looks like? It looks like paintings in the background that you're not there for unless you're looking for it. I don't know. I think ultimately I want to wait and see what it looks like, because if I can't follow the story, if the consistency of this story doesn't make sense to me, then in my own opinion, if if we follow the logic of what happens in the game, if we follow the logic of the story, and it's not satisfying, then that's where I am. If I don't like how I feel when I play the game, then I will just drop the game. If I don't like the way people look, that is subjective, not objective. Objectively, if the game doesn't perform well when I play it, and I don't objectively feel good at the end of it, because Souls-like games are Type 2 fun. Incredibly bad during the process, but great to look back on. Right? That's the kind of game you're playing when you go into this game. And if the game becomes impossible to play, then that's kind of like that's where I stop playing the game. If the game becomes unplayable to play, or impossible to play, I will stop. Again, paintings on the background will not stop me from playing this game. It's incredibly crazy, and that's my opinion. But let me know what you think.